Good evening, everybody. Monday Morning Quarterback, episode 96. Yeah, 96. Probably caught a few of you off guard as I'm out in the shop, so we had no fancy intro video or letting you know we were going. I'm going to try to answer questions here off my iPad tonight. So let's make sure that I can find CSI on here. So we'll give a couple minutes, let people tune in, make sure everything is going good here. Make sure I can see the live. Yep, we are live. So I should be able to see your conversation, see your questions here. So if you have a question, certainly pop in and ask that, and I will answer it same as we would on a normal Monday Morning Quarterback. So just wanted to come out in the shop tonight and show you guys a little bit on how we would modify shock adjuster cables, how we would go about repairing them, etc. And so I'll jump right into that. So you don't need a whole lot of tools to work on your shock adjuster cable. 1/8" Allen wrench. If you're going to be cutting the cable, we found a Dremel with a cutoff wheel does a really good job. And basically, the reason we like that is, I'll show you up close, when you go to cut that off, if you just use a pair of cutters, which we use these in the shop, and then we go to the belt sander, it kind of can fray the wires. So we go to the belt sander and that like melts all the wires back together so they don't unravel. But if you use the cutoff wheel, it'll cut it nice and clean, and then you can almost sand it. So I'll show you that in a second. And so why would you need to shorten your shock adjuster cable is a question we get. And the short answer is the shorter you can make that cable, the more efficient it will adjust. So we get people all the time that'll call and say, hey, I need a 7.5 foot cable for my micro. They're definitely not routing it in the most efficient way if you truly need a 7.5 foot cable. Okay, we don't use a 7.5 foot cable on a Silver Crown car. So the longer you make that cable, the more it's going to wind up and not do a click for click adjustment. So our cockpit adjuster knobs have 8 detents in them, same as our shocks. And if you have the cable routed as directly as possible, tie wrapped every 5 or 6 inches, when you do one click in the cockpit, it's going to do one click on the shock. Now, if you have the cable routed down to the lower frame rail and then back up, and you only have it tie wrapped in a few spots, you're going to have to turn that thing like a half a turn, and then all of a sudden it's going to do a bunch of adjustments at once. So it's just the cable's kind of winding up there. We use a really high-end cable. Some manufacturers just use a speedometer cable, and we've found that that tends to wind up more. This has it doesn't turn as tight of a radius as some of the others, but it adjusts a lot more positively, and I feel like it turns as tight a radius as you need it to turn. So we've really liked this cable. We've been using it for probably 6 or 7 years now. So we stock cables in 3, 4, 5, 6 foot increments. We always tell people, if you know the exact length that you want, we'll make it for you. So we make every cable here, right here on this bench. See, we got marks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We roll the cable out, cut it, and we just stock those 3 through 6 foot and 1 foot increments, because that covers most everybody. But if you have a custom length requirement, we'll make that, and there's no additional charge for it. If you prefer to cut your own cables to your own length, maybe you're not sure how you're going to route them, just order the standard lengths from us, which should give you an extra little bit. And you found that when you go to hook it up to your car, you actually have like some extra cable there, and you want to make it as neat and tidy as you can. All you would have to do is take a razor blade, cut the heat shrink off, 1/8" Allen wrench, get your cable end off, and then I would cut it with a Dremel tool, okay? And so what you're going to do is it'll just cut right through it. cuts through it, you can use the end of the Dremel to tidy it up. And so pretty efficiently you can cut it and then slide that back on. Okay, so it cut it good enough. You can see that it melted all the wire together, and make sure you wear safety glasses. So that's pretty easy to do. And then we definitely recommend putting the heat shrink back on. You would need a new piece of heat shrink. 1/4-inch heat shrink works. We sell this on our website, 2 packs with our fancy little logo. But the heat shrink, after you get the cable end on, we would heat shrink to cover that cable that's exposed there. And then that also makes a kind of a waterproof barrier. So one of the issues we see is over time, going to the car wash and stuff, this cable can tend to get kind of ratty and rusty. So during the off season, certainly these get hard and messed up. I think this stuff's like $1.60 a foot on our website. The cable's a little more expensive because again, this is a high-end cable, but you could certainly clean this cable up, buy some new housing, some new heat shrink, and kind of refurbish your cables during the off season. Heck, you might have the downtime to do it right now. Looks like we're going to get to go racing soon. I have a couple races that I know are going on this weekend. Terry McCarl's race in South Dakota, and then a 305 race in Texas. I see one of our local micro tracks just released that they're starting, I think, with a play day May 8th or 9th, and then a race the following weekend. So that's really exciting that tracks are going to be able to start racing. So that kind of covers what I wanted to show you all as far as how to shorten your shock adjuster cable, maybe how to refurbish them, kind of the tools of the trade, why it's important to route that thing as efficiently as possible. So anybody that's on there, if you have questions, fire away. I don't see any questions so far, but if you have a question, fire away. Somebody type hello so I can at least see that I'm seeing the questions. I should be seeing them. Oh, there they are. Oops. I didn't want that. Comments. No. All right. Doesn't want to show me the comments. Bear with me 1 second here. Turn the volume down. All right, we'll try this one more time. While we're waiting for that to pop back up, one of the other things that I wanted to show you all is forever we've had just our standard cockpit adjuster and mount. We've had some requests from micro guys that maybe don't have enough room in their cockpit, and so we came out with this just before the shootout. So this replaces one of your cable ends and goes right on, and you can tie wrap your cable and have a nice knob to make adjustments, and then you don't need a bracket in the car. So that's a little tidier and more efficient for those of you that are lacking space. If I had the space, I certainly would put the knobs in there. Okay, there we go. Kevin, would you be able to lube or coat the cable before putting it back in? Certainly, it's a pretty tight fit in there, but you could probably put a little bit of grease of some type in there to prevent it from rusting. As long as you put the heat shrink back on, it's sealed up good. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Holla, Tim Maynard. I know Tim Maynard's excited to go back to the races. All right. So I can see your comments now. Anybody that has a question, fire away. Sorry for that. For some reason, I couldn't pull it up earlier. I think it was probably me. You know, shock adjuster cables definitely have a life expectancy. Once they start to get so rusted up that they don't want to move. You know, you can replace them. We sell just the cable assembly. If your knob's still good, you can just replace the cable assembly. The knob has a snap ring on the back side. You can take that off, clean and grease it, and it should last you for a long, long time. So if you needed to just buy a whole cable, you could, but I think certainly a lot of times you can pull the cable out, put some new housing on it, some new heat shrink, and be good to go for $5 or $6 a cable rather than buying a whole new cable assembly, which is $50. I normally try not to wear a hat on Monday morning quarterback because it makes my face really dark, but this mop I'm dealing with here, I've never had hair this long in my adult life. So as excited as I am for race cars to hit the track again, I'm going to be pretty excited for my barber shop to open back up. I think my wife's had enough. I've threatened to shave it, and she wasn't going for that either. So, all right, no other questions. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're looking for some entertainment on Wednesday night, our iRacing series kicks off. The young guys that are in that put on an awesome show. We've had 3 winners in 3 weeks. It's all the stars that use our shocks for the most part, and a couple outsiders. And man, they put on a great race. So that's always fun to watch. We have 2 more weeks on the dirt, and then we're starting a pavement series. Same night and time. They go Wednesdays at, I think the broadcast goes live at 7:15. We always try to post it on our Facebook page, but it's also on YouTube. So, my dad thinks my hair is long enough for a man bun. I slicked it all the way back out of the shower the other day. I look like Slick Rick, but yeah, no man bun. I'm gonna get it cut. I like a short haircut. So. That's all. Hope you guys have a great week. We're going back racing soon. I know it's been miserable for everybody, especially us. It's been pretty quiet here in the shop without all the guys here, so we're looking forward to getting that kicked off and this stay-at-home order being removed so we can kind of get back to full strength here and get back to racing. So look forward to seeing you guys all at the track soon. Keep an eye on our social media. We have some more sales and stuff going on later this week, and we certainly appreciate all of your business and support. Take care.